Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Dark Souls, the Tale of Artorias, or whatever the heck I'm going to call this particular season. It's Artorias themed, obviously. We're going to dump more points and I'm thinking Vitality. Vitality's a bit lacking. Right, so next we're going to kill QuaBAD. Little Miss Spider Lady. Also, we got to upgrade our Estus Flask because we picked up a Firekeeper Soul earlier. And yeah, I think I'm also going to try to quickly grab the Firekeeper Soul that's at the bottom without needing to commit suicide. I forget if this sword can damage ghosts. Let me actually just check that in the description. This sword is tainted by this now strength of Alex. It doesn't say anything about that. I mean, I guess I'll just try to smack the first ghost really quick. I know the black sword of Artorias. It's called the Great Sword. It's the non-blessed version of the Great Sword of Artorias. Will let you hit ghosts and block ghosts when you're, two-hand blocking. But anyway, I said at the end of the last episode I have more to talk about Dark Souls 2 and stuff. One thing I actually want to specify is it actually felt a bit more like Demon Souls, but with a lot of the good stuff I like from Dark Souls added onto it. And one of the main things is I noticed when you invade and stuff like that, you no longer have maximum HP. But when you're summoned to somebody's world with red signed soapstone, you get full HP. You basically get you're basically on the same grounds that the host is, which bravo, that's actually exactly what I think I actually remember mentioning this before. Okay, I don't think I could with the Abyss sword. I think I actually remember mentioning this exact thing before. They need to make some changes to make it so structured PvP and invasion PvP are more separated, and doing things like changing health amounts to kind of encourage you to, like, if you want to do a duel, you're now encouraged to, put your red sign, soapstone, stuff like that down. I mean, obviously there's still going to be people waiting around for invaders, and probably more so because, well, not necessarily more so, but just because they know they're going to get an advantage because they're host, and of course, if that's the case, you don't have to make any excuse to run into all the enemies. Because I mean, if you wanted to fight, if he wants to complain about a duel, he should have summoned you with a red sign soapstone. I mean, after all, he's already getting an advantage. We would do so. So actually, now thinking about it, I'm not 100% sure if I completely. I mean, I guess it really depends on how the players act about it. Because obviously it was obviously the PvP was obviously going to be chaotic in the beta. But I did like that it was chaotic. It was a lot more fun. You had a lot greater tendency to run into people who were trying to progress through the level with phantoms. And, you can be a dick and use the enemies, and you wouldn't really feel bad because obviously they're trying to progress. You also have a time limit for how long you're there, so if they really wanted to, they can just wait you out. But of course, if the phantoms are already there when you show up, oh god, I should just run past these guys. If the phantoms are already there when you show up, you're pretty sure it's more. I think they're going to leave before you do. I'm not sure if all the phantoms are there for the same amount of time, but there's a time limit for the phantoms to be there. So if you invade after. After they after they have white phantoms there, then I would imagine that they would have less time than you, and you can, if they want to wait you out, I guess you can just wait till the phantoms are gone and then rush in after them, make it a 1v1. Best odds, I suppose. And if they did do that, you would kind of have the advantage on them, because, well, okay, yeah, it's a 1v1, you have less health. If you're starting to lose, you have a big pile of enemies you can retreat to. He doesn't. He has to just run away and hope he's faster. Hope you can get enough distance on you. But yeah. Oh man, I can already see my Dark Souls build now, man. I'm starting it up. Gonna be alright, man. I didn't know. Gonna be dumping points in the faith and agility and vitality and what that. It seems like I don't. I get the feeling. Actually, no, it's not vitality. I think I'm trying to remember. Like vitality is either health or equipment load now. Like they're both different stats. There's like vitality, and I don't know. I think health might just be considered like HP or something like that. I forget. But yeah, dumping points into getting health and faith and agility and attunement slots. Gonna get a bunch of faith spells. Make my weapons into either lightning or occult weapons or something along those lines. Get just enough strength and dexterity to use the weapons I want to use. I'm thinking, you know, I kind of like the Temple Knight setup I already had in the thing, you know, with the halberd and the axe. I mean, you also have a talisman and your shield, so since you can wield 3 weapons in your right and left hand, I guess that gives me a bit of freedom to add something more. But I was very comfortable with what they gave me just there. I'll probably try to get that halberd and that axe, and I'll have those, and maybe along with something, maybe a Zweihander. Because the Zweihander is pretty good. Maybe just a longsword, actually. Longsword's also pretty good. Maybe I'll replace the axe with the longsword, because I actually did like the longsword more. Yeah, I guess maybe like a longsword is Zweihander and the halberd. Seems like a good setup. They're all quality weapons too, I think, even though that's not necessarily the goal, since I'm making the weapons into like lightning weapons and what have you. And oh, actually, oh, another thing, you can have 10 items instead of 5 on this list. Pretty nice. It's probably part of the reason why they added the whole ability to see the next item that you're going to toggle to, because there's just so much there. I get the feeling you know, if you miss the item because maybe you scroll one too far, you've got a lot more to scroll through if you have a bar full of stuff. But I'm glad they did that, because there is like a lot more useful items, such as like ones that you like you eat it and you get some of your castings back for your spells. Seems like that would be very important for like a mage, or even maybe maybe a casting faith build. There was a dark orb spell in the game where you would launch a dark orb at him. It seemed like it drained quite a bit of stamina. I didn't hit anyone or get hit by it personally, but again, I saw in a video somebody got hit by it, and it looked like they lost like 3/4 of their entire bar of stamina, which is pretty crazy. So if they're low on stamina, you hit them with that, they really can't do anything until that stamina comes back. It seems like it could be a really good like shutdown spell. I gotta get out of here. Whoa. But yeah, I'm really hoping that the whole changes like health and evasion things kind of splits the invasion community into sort of a structured PvP and you know, PvPE, you know, player versus player and environment type setting. If that's the case, I would love it so much. I would consider the game. That's like the main thing I've wanted ever since Demon Souls. Like Demon Souls, there's always people like, yeah, let's all do structured PvP or whatever. But you know, one guy was obviously at somewhat of a disadvantage because you'd have to have like the cling ring on. But I mean, the foes ring is really good. But there's some builds where a different ring was better. So you know, like maybe a magic casting build. Although actually, anyway, well, either way, it was clearly balanced, I think, a bit more towards the host, even though you know, the Phantom obviously did more damage, but the main thing is that you're missing that ring slot from the cling ring. Yeah, sure. But, and then, you know, in Dark Souls, it seemed like it pretty much was even grounded, and, you know, host could drink Estus and the person couldn't. But typically, if you were doing structured, it was just sort of like an unset agreement that none of you would heal. And in this one, though, you know, if you're an invader, just invading through a red eye orb or something like that, you would have a disadvantage. And if you were invading through a red sign, you'd be on equal grounds and what that. When did I get a Firekeeper soul? Or another one? What? Oh, right, yeah, I got it going through the ruins. Okay. Duh. Now, We'll save Ceaseless Discharge for a later date. Oh man, what was I about to mention? I hope they have another arena in Dark Souls 2. One, actually works. But I would say the main reason why it doesn't work in Dark Souls 1 is just because the netcode's pretty piss poor. Since they're using servers, I can't imagine an arena not being effective. Especially since, being on equal footing with how the invasions are going to be the more popular thing. But yeah, another thing, I kind of hope that they also... I hope they kind of remove the ability for people to twink. Like, I mean, obviously, it seems like elemental weapons are going to also have scaling now. Like, it seems like all of them are. I'm not sure if there's going to be any that don't. But, all the same, if there's still a weapon upgrading system, like how it currently is, where you can get a weapon up to plus 15, you could still have a very strong character while being at a really low level. I mean, as much as I kind of like the idea of equipment being very strong if you just upgrade it on its own, I'm thinking maybe they should really just kind of make it so the upgrading system, all you can really do is change the type of, like, element the weapon is, and just make it so it's all about scaling. I mean, I know it kind of sounds lame on paper, but it would fix a lot of issues, really. And I mean, before anyone's like, oh, well, what if I want to use strength, but I want to, use maybe one dexterity weapon just for safekeeping. I mean, you could still make it just like a katana into like a... I forget if it's fire element that scales the strength. You can make it into an element that scales the strength. Although I'm not sure if it's going to be like, okay, it's all strength that scales this, or if it's like a split between the strength and whatever the weapon's initial stat was. I have no idea. Clearly, this is all just speculation. Take everything I say with a grain of salt. Even the things I say about the beta, 'cause that's all, that's all open to change. Yeah. But I am still worried that agility is going to be considered one of the be-all, end-all stats. And I'm also wondering what the soul level cap is going to be. Now, I get the feeling it's going to be somewhere around, like, 160 or 180. That's just my prediction. Maybe 150. Who knows? Probably a squeeze. Yeah, actually, probably 150. I keep forgetting to take into account that a lot of the stats are already up somewhat, just at the base level. So 150 might be the new PvP level instead of like 120. Because there's extra stats I gotta take more into account. One thing I'm worried is that some of the bosses in Dark Souls 2 might be a bit too easy. Actually, maybe not. I mean, I'm not going to say anything about the first boss, about the bosses from the beta. I'm not going to tell you what they are. I'm not going to tell you what they do. But I will tell you that, and again, not saying anything about any of the bosses that's going to ruin anything for you. I did manage to beat both of them on my very first try. And I think Larkin did too. Actually, he might have beaten 1 and 2 tries. But either way. I mean, one of them was more about just knowing what to do. And I figured it out pretty quick because there really wasn't anything else to do that made that much sense. And another one was just a pure skill, all about fighting them type setup. And, I mean, the one that was all about fighting, I actually did have to use a lot of health stones with, so I guess it was pretty difficult. The other one, pretty easy. It didn't give me much trouble. Didn't have to heal much. But, I've heard other people talking about, oh god, it's so hard. Like, I couldn't figure out how to beat him in the beta, so maybe knowing how to beat him isn't quite as obvious. I don't know, it was obvious to me. But obviously, when Dark Souls 2 comes out and I get to that point, I'll be sure to point out, like, yeah, guys, this is the area from the beta. So I should be able to get through this, no problem. I can't wait for Dark Souls 2 to come out. I'm gonna get it on PC. Gonna have a video posted first day. Probably not gonna be showing off much because it's mostly gonna be like a teaser, I'm guessing. Just like, hey guys, I got Dark Souls 2. Watch me make a character and go through the tutorial area. Or the first episode coming tomorrow or whatever. And it'll be great because I haven't really done many blind Let's Plays on my channel, if any. And, a blind Let's Play of a Dark Souls game, oh, it'll be so good. That will be high quality entertainment. Right. Yeah, I know some people who were playing the beta was kind of wondering if we'll be able to kind of kindle bonfires to get more Estus flasks. I kind of hope we don't, because we already have life stones. I feel like the 5 Estus flasks are sort of like the emergency thing, where, you know, if you're doing so bad that you've used up all your life stones and you're still dying, you'll always at least have those 5 Estus. Because, you know, giving us 20, I felt made things way too easy in Dark Souls. You can chug the hell out of them. Maybe letting us get 10 would be okay. But I find, you know, it's too easy. I mean, obviously, I hope that, you know, you can upgrade the flasks so that they restore more health, because, or maybe they'll just heal your health based on a percentage, so they just heal you more if you have higher, you know, HP total. That would kind of make sense. That would actually kind of fix a lot of the. I mean, I like a lot of the things that are kind of cryptic in Dark Souls. You know, like finding the Great Hollow. I just don't like when there's really necessary things. Well, not completely necessary, but borderline necessary things, like you can only upgrade your Estus flask if you find Firekeeper souls. Which, I mean, let's face it, I got my Estus flask up to like +3 by the end of my first playthrough, which wasn't that useful. I mean, it was okay. Like, I think I found the one in the church, the one on the way down to QuaBAD, or on the way back up, I guess, because I didn't take the shortcut down the first couple of times, because I didn't know it was there. Also, let me repair equipment. Yeah, my armor isn't fully upgraded. Let's purchase some of these thingamabobs.
Don't get your...
Alright. Where is all my stuff upgraded to? Helmet's not upgraded at all, but the chest piece is upgraded fully. Oh boy. Oops. Might as well just top this off. I know I'd probably get more value out of upgrading the other things multiple times, but Anyway, descend fortress away! Whoa! In case anybody's wondering what system I'm going to be getting Dark Souls 2 on, it is going to be PC. Mainly because it's just a lot more convenient to record things on PC, and 60 frames per second is also really good. And I'm assuming it's going to look a bit prettier. Hey, aww, I thought I was going to get to use that. Shame. I want some online activity, man. Come on, game. Don't do me like that, baby. Give me the online. Oh, actually, I should mention one thing I really like about in the Dark Souls 2 PvP system is, and I'm not 100% sure. I forget if you get your maximum. Well, actually, I should probably first specify, for the sake of making sure everybody's on the same page. Each time you die in Dark Souls 2, your maximum health goes down a little bit at a time. I'm not sure if there's a cap, because I didn't die that much in the beta. I died enough where I felt like, okay, I should probably use one of these humanity type things. They weren't called humanity, there's like human something. Human effigy, maybe? It was something like that. But, you know, essentially the humanity replacer. But I really only died enough times where I felt like I needed to use that. And it was mainly because I was goofing around, I saw an item on a faraway ledge, and I tried to, like, get to it. And I died a bunch of times getting down, but, yeah. Yeah, I just find that for the most part, if you just play smart in Dark Souls 2, you can get through areas on the first go if you take your time, take note of your surroundings, and, you know, think about everything you're gonna do, which I really like. I felt it was like that for the most part in Dark Souls, with the exception of a few things. You know, like the first time you run into a mimic. I mean, come on, that's bullshit the first time you run into a mimic. You're not going to be looking at all the chests and being like, I should just consider how all of these look in case a future chest looks different. I mean, you might notice the mimic breathing, but unless you know there's going to be a mimic, or you know there's something in the game like a mimic, you're not really going to be looking for that. I mean, you know, there's attention to detail, and then there's just ludicrous attention to detail. And I felt like, you know, mimics are pushing it. Oh, I thought you were going to come at me. Oh, you're dead. Why not? Alright. Go, go, go! We don't need this stuff down there. This is New Game Plus. Also, you notice kind of, you know, how backstab sort of snapped people in this one? You know, you guy has to go through like an animation, which the other guy has full control of during the animation, so he can try to like roll out of a backstab, sort of. I mean, it's more about if they roll out of the way on your screen, not their screen, so they have to be a bit early, but they don't... Like, backstabs, there might be a little bit of rubber banding every now and then, but they never, like, so much so that it feels cheap. It's like, yeah, okay, I can believe that. He was behind me, like, a brief millisecond ago, so obviously lag is going to still exist to some extent. So, it's never enough that really frustrate you, but yeah, rubber banding, backstab rubber banding seems to be, for the most part, somewhat gone. Because, you know, it's not like the second they hit the button when they're behind you, you instantly get backstab. You're just instantly in the backstab animation. You can no longer avoid. No, he's got to do like a little hilt bash animation, and you're not locked in for that. You can, if you roll out of the way in time, you can avoid the backstab. And I think that's what FromSoft was talking about when they mentioned you can kind of like whiff the backstab. You're not necessarily going to get backstabbed just because they get behind you. You can, to an extent, avoid it. Parrying was pretty fun too. Parry damage seemed to get nerfed, which I was upset about at first, but I ended up parrying a lot of people in the beta. It was really quick to get used to, and I guess I figured, like, you know, there was very, very little lag on the parry time. You can parry a lot of things almost on reaction. So I guess it makes sense because people are going to be going for parries probably a bit more. It seems a bit easier to get them, so it kind of makes sense to make it at least in PvP. PvE it's weird. It feels like it's a tad easier to get them in PvP, and it's a tad harder to get them in PvE. I'm gonna have to just run past this bitch. All right. But yeah. Yeah, you just honestly, I don't really know how I feel about the parry. I mean, obviously, I want to say I like it because I am pretty biased towards Dark Souls, but I'm trying to look at everything from the most unbiased point of view possible. Like, it is kind of weird that your controls feel kind of loose until you upgrade agility. It never feels bad, it's just loose, and I know some players are probably not going to like the more loose feeling. I mean, I don't mind either way. The loose one feels more realistic, while the tight one feels not necessarily more gamey, but... you know, it feels better for PvP and what that. The loose one, like, I feel like if you want to do PvE, agility, while will still probably be somewhat important, but vastly less important. I feel like agility is going to be a borderline necessity for PvP, while you can do it without it in PvE. Because, I mean, you know, I had very little problems with, even though I didn't really level agility in the beta. Even in PvP I didn't have many problems. So I guess agility may not necessarily... I mean, I think when people are starting to get all MLG Pro and they're min-maxing and, you know, everything starts getting the meta, I get the feeling there's gonna be like a bunch of tests done by players and be like, okay, this is the exact agility you want to have at minimum because, you know, you don't get stun locked by this most commonly used weapon, and you give just enough whatever to roll BS people maybe if they do a big slow. Actually, roll BS things didn't seem to work that well. A lot of people were saying, oh, look, it does. See, look, I just roll BS this guy. But all of them are very questionable. Like, it's never like a clear, okay, I roll behind you and hit the button. It's more like, you were starting to go behind him, and then he tried to swing at you and missed, like as you were already starting to go behind him. So it looked more like it was just a punish to me for him missing as opposed to you just rolling through and backstabbing. Like when I saw them, I never really thought, okay, yeah, that guy was a good roll BS. I was thinking like more along the lines of, oh man, that guy missed the attack and now he got backstabbed for it, you know? Which, you know, again, I like that. I like to feel more like everything's my fault. Even in PvP, if you feel like it's your fault, that's a plus to me. Because, you know, I'm not necessarily in PvP. I mean, you know, I'm not in PvP to analyze other people's tactics and skills. I'm there to analyze my own. And I mean, you know, I'm not saying I ignore anything that people do. I'll see them do something, I'll be like, hey, that was pretty cool, that was pretty good. And I'll learn from that. Because, you know, that's how you get good at PvP. You gotta admit that you're not the best player and learn from things that other people do. You gotta see something that somebody else does and be like, that was... Oh! How did that grab me? No! Don't you dare throw me over the edge. Okay, that was close. That was a bit wonky. Leave me alone. Leave me alone! Aha! Ha! Come at me, golem bro. Yeah, it's good. Come over here. We want you to come over here because I want to knock you off the bridge a lot right now. See ya. If Targus jumped off the edge trying to still fight the golem, I would have laughed really hard. Oh, that's a lot of souls I just got there. Yeah, I mean, I really like the way the Template looked in the beta. I mean, I might just try to just recreate the beta character, in all honesty. In all honesty. Yeah, in all honesty, I might just try to recreate the beta character and just play through the game like that. Not necessarily with all the same weapons all the time, but probably the same armor. I mean, the roll speed with that armor seemed pretty good. And stuff like that, even with the low agility I had at the start of the beta. Anyway, that'll do it for this episode. And, wow, I just drew... Actually, let's just level up first, because I drew a blank there, and I don't want to end to just be like a big long pause and be like, okay, sir, oop, no, not attunement. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this episode. I'm Crazy Mike. I'll see you in the next one, where I'm not sure if I'll talk more about Dark Souls 2, because I have to think of stuff to talk about, and I kind of just exhausted all of my chit-chat Dark Souls 2 stuff. So, I'll see you guys in the next episode.